Hello and welcome to Drop the Mic Podcast, where we discuss technology, theology, and all things in between. I want to personally thank you for joining us today. Now sit back, relax, share this, engage with the podcast that's already in progress. God bless you. What's up, y'all? This your boy DK Hammonds, and I'm here with one of the crazies of AI. You guys don't want to miss it. All right. Welcome, you guys. DK Hammonds here, and I have my good brother Greg, here with us to talk about AI apps. There's so much happening, so many conversations happening in our world. I figured we go get the expert who I look to for information and insight. We go get Brother Greg to tell us. Brother Greg, how you doing? How you feeling, my man?
DK, thanks for having me, bro. I'm doing fantastic. It's been a busy period, a busy season, let's call it that. I like you, I'm very ministry centric. So yeah, I live and work and breathe in corporate America, and I have a job and I have businesses, et cetera, et cetera. But pretty much everything, not pretty much, everything I do is very focused on ministry and, trying to align with wherever God wants me first, and then secondary, everything else after that. And I'm noticing a drastic uptick in churches pretty much across the world being more prudent about the technologies they use, how they use them, trying to get more scaled, basically. So it's because of that, it's been a very busy time. I try to spend a good amount of time helping churches, nonprofits, and other organizations like that. Not exclusively to that. I help businesses and stuff too. But I'm seeing a significant uptick in churches wanting to be better at technology. So it's a great time to be alive, bro.
No doubt. So, Brother Greg, tell the people where this AI bug bit you at. Where did it start? Where did technology kind of converge with this theological space in which you exist in? Because not only are you a technician and technologist, but you're also a minister of the gospel. And so tell us how those two words converge for you and how you operate in them now.
Yeah, if you could see, it's probably out so you can't really see it, but over this shoulder right here, you can kind of see what looks like a keyboard. For the tech nerds in the audience, you'll recognize that as a Commodore 64. That was not even my first computer. That was actually my second computer. My first computer was an Atari 800, not the game system, the computer with the keyboard and the cassette recorder and a dot matrix print. No, it wasn't dot matrix. It was the one before dot matrix. I can't remember what it was called, but it's basically a typewriter head on a printer that would print, and that gave better quality. So and that was the late 70s when I got into computers like that. So that was preteen, 9, 10 years old, somewhere thereabouts. That's how long I've been in technology. AI bug bit me probably 30 years ago, somewhere thereabouts, when I started working for a very large cybersecurity. So I've been in cybersecurity most of my career. When I started working for a very large cybersecurity company here in the US, it was a global company, and they used a lot of AI, 25, 30 years ago for doing things like malware analysis and finding which files are bad and recognizing features in a file that even though it hasn't ever been detected as a bad file before, it allows you to kind of like categorize them and say, hey, this is probably classified as bad, even though we've never seen it before. So that got me into AI. So I've been an AI practitioner for over 25 years, easy. But the more important question you asked me about, the gospel, I could be very genuine and tell you, I remember at right around 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around there. It was before my 6th birthday. I remember praying like seriously praying for my mother to, I'm going to be super transparent now, for my mother to start coming to church with me. In other words, I was going to church. I was saved and serious about my relationship with God before my parents were. I was simultaneously, and this was again before my 6th birthday, I was praying for my father, who was an alcoholic, is an alcoholic. They say once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. He's still alive. He's still here with us. I prayed for him to stop drinking. somewhere around 7 years old, my father came home one day out of the clear blue and said, "Hey, I'm going to AA. I'm not drinking anymore." So check. I was like, "Yep, God don't play about his kids." And that's why I keep stressing it was before my 6th birthday. Right around my 6th birthday, it was a Sunday, and I think it was the Sunday of my 6th birthday. My mom wakes up one morning and, "Hey, I'm going to church with you." Long story short, shows up, she comes to church with me and ends up going up in the front, giving her life to the Lord, et cetera, et cetera. And same thing. 6 years old, you couldn't tell me that God don't hear his kids and that God don't answer prayer. So how long have I been, into the gospel? From 4 years old. How long have I been in technology? 9, 10 years old, somewhere thereabouts. And that's been the path of my life. Like it's been very unequivocal for me. I know God called me to minister his gospel. I'm learning. I used to think that meant I had to quit my job and, not be in corporate America, but, go to a church. He always said, "Nope, I ain't tell you to go run no church, go be no youth pastor, go be no pastor. I told you to stay put exactly where you at in corporate America." And I didn't understand it, but being obedient, I did it. And the technology thing, it's literally the only thing I've ever done. So, I remember grew up in the Caribbean, and I remember I was in the 6th grade, so 5th and 6th grade, so 10 and 11 years old, myself and like 2 other friends from primary school, we had a public access TV show teaching adults how to use computers for business.
Wow.
9 and 10 years old. So like I said, this has been what God, Lecrae said it best. This was stitched into my DNA. Jeremiah said it even better. Before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you and I called you. That's the story of my life right there.
Yeah, man, it's so interesting to hear my tech squad come out from among them and come out and be out front, because it's so easy for us to get on our computer and just do our work and go home and that's it. But to see some of us talking about both what is happening in technology and what is happening in the world of Christ and his kingdom is so critical to this space that is agnostic at best. So we need more of us to be kind of speaking into said space. All right. So now we have.
Let me chime in on that real quick, DK. It is definitely a season.
Yeah.
Like I said, I remember for years, decades, saying, "God, give me the word. You let me know when I got to drop everything, and I'm willing to sacrifice what." And I meant it. I was being dead serious. I'm willing to sacrifice whatever I got to sacrifice, the nice job, the this, the that, to come and, minister. And for years, God told me, "Yeah, I ain't telling you to do none of that." And I could tell you for sure, my spirit, and I could see it with my physical eyes, there's been a drastic shift in, I would probably say, the last 3 or 4 years, where, like you said, the tech squad, we was tucked away, we was hidden. I'm gonna use a lot of scriptural references, not because I'm with you, but that's what you soak a sponge with, when you poke the sponge, that's what's going to come out. So it is what it is. Like Elisha, when God told him, no, I got 7,000 tucked away that you don't know about. I'm seeing that in real time now. You and me, we crossed paths somewhere at a random meeting here in McKinney, and I was like, "Oh, I don't run into a lot of people that look like me in a Christian space that are tech-centric." And this was just one of 100 times in the last couple of years where this has happened. And God is showing me, I know you thought you were alone. I know you felt like this was an agnostic industry, and they're very anti-God and very pro, you man, you smart, you do it all on your own. You don't need nobody's help. But I had you there for a reason. And it's starting to make sense now. I don't understand it all yet, just being obedient, but there's definitely been a shift in season when it comes to the church, the gospel, and its relationship with technology.
Yeah, I agree. And for those of y'all who don't know, my boy here, we were sitting in a conference, actually on 2 ends of the room, until we went into a smaller room and I walk in, he walk in, we looking like, "Hey, yeah, what's good, man?" Or my favorite is when I sit in the room quietly and start talking. The room kind of slows down. People start listening, because usually I'm very unassuming. It doesn't look like I will know it until I start talking, and they're like, "Oh, okay. Yes." And so he and I connected there. We've been linked together. weekly conversations, almost just talking about technology, life, or social media, or whatever the case may be. And so that's been rich, and I appreciate you for that, brother. So tell the world or to our listeners, what are some things that you feel like you're seeing happening? Now, for me, what I'm seeing happening in the AI space is that the awareness is picking up. The big sharks are gaining steam, and they're
Yep.
kind of figuring out ways to take over the little sharks so they can monopolize. But where does the Christians fit in this AI space in terms of building, creating, and connecting our worlds to this bigger world that's having all of this movement?
I don't know how I want to answer that question. So just for those who don't know, DK and I didn't, like, we ain't had no pre-planned questions and no pre-plans. We're just talking right now. It's two brothers. We love the Lord and we talking. So this is from the hip, and I'm being very, 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 very honest, very transparent. Even if I'm not that type, but even if I wanted to pre-prep, I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that the Christians are necessarily at the bleeding edge of the changes that's happening in technology. And that's fine.
Yeah.
They don't need to be. I think everything fits in its place and is its timing. There are some seismic shifts. I literally said it earlier this morning on a little interview thing that I did with someone else. The season we're going through now, not from a spiritual, from a technological perspective, is exactly the same. I think it's even more so than the onset of the internet age. When the internet age came along, it shifted stuff. Suddenly, we had audiences all over the world. You could start a e-commerce website and sell your stuff, your idea, your whatever to someone in Uzbekistan. Geography was no longer a limit. We're seeing, in my opinion, an even more drastic shift in the paradigm because of AI. So, and I don't think that need be a Christian thing. I think Christians are benefiting from that or can benefit from that. But, fundamentally, I think that's just shifted everything. If I had to boil down the AI age, the part of it that we're in right now, to a couple of things, I would say it's probably two things. One is democratization or access. Things that were out of reach for the average person, places where there were barriers for entry, those barriers for entry have been completely blown asunder. The simplest one, which I know we will talk about in more depth later, right now, studies have been done on this. I think the Harvard Business Review recently did a study on it. 0.23% of the world population, 0.23% of the world's population knows how to program. 0.23, which means anything you want to do in life, business, church, gospel, spreading them, whatever, that requires programming, whether it be a website or an app or something or some automation, whatever, if it requires programming, you got a huge bottleneck because you got to go and see with that 0.23% of people, which means they can overcharge, which means you could wait 3 months, which with everything that comes with a bottleneck. That democratization is already breaking that. And I give real examples, but even if you can't code, you can now go to an AI engine and say, hey, I can't code, but make this for me. Even if you don't know about automation, you can go to AI engine and say, listen, craft this type of automation for me. So democratization, that's one of the big things. Everyone now has access to certain things that, 2-3 years ago, a very small percentage had access to it. The next thing I would say, so that's democratization. The next thing is automation. Because of the onset of how AI allows us to process things logically, and you no longer have to automate based on step 1, if then step 2, if then step 3. You could tell an AI agent step 1 and assess whatever happens. You make a decision and figure out what you want to do next. So we can now see small businesses, and this is something I've helped a lot of businesses with recently, 5x, 6x their lead gen or their revenue or their social media presence in 30 days, like easy. Why? Because you build an AI agent, you tell it, hey, automate this process. Every person that touches my website, go out and do research on who they are, and if they fit into my right client demographic, because I'm trying to offer things to, you know, small churches. If the person that clicked on my website or my social media post or whatever, if I do the AI does the research on them and it comes back and says, hey, this is a small pastor, hey, that aligns with my target market, so let me send him an email. Say, hey, I noticed you were on the website. You ain't clicked nothing. You ain't asked me for nothing. You ain't filled out nothing, but you were on the website. Maybe this would be interesting for you. You happen to be my core demographic. You couldn't do that before. You'd have to hire a bunch of people or some VAs or something. Now, a single man shop, single woman shop, single person shop could be actively doing that. A small church with 100 people in it could be actively doing that. And that shifts the game, bro. So automation and democratization it's a game changer in business, in nonprofits and everything. And now the $1 million is, will we as Christians do the right thing and lean into that and leverage it? Or are we going to back away? You know, no, we don't want to, but we've been doing it this way, so we're gonna keep doing it this way. This is we've had this in life before, and it's with the print press. When Gutenberg invented the printing press, initially you can do research on this; it's historically validated. The church, particularly in Europe, said, you know, this is the mark of the beast, this is evil, you know, we got to stay away from it, et cetera, et cetera. And some monk somewhere said, you know, why don't I try to print a Bible with this thing? And they printed the Bible, and it shifted the entire paradigm of the earth. You know, reading literacy rates were sub 10%. Even in Jesus's time, most people didn't read. That's why the Apostle Paul used to have to send a scribe along with his letter to the Romans, and you, scribe, read it for the church. There wasn't 10 copies of the letter to the Romans handed out. Like, Paul had to have it read because most people didn't read. Suddenly, Gutenberg printing press, Bible is being printed. People now want to learn to read so they can get to their Bible. And suddenly the whole earth changes. Literally, the whole entire earth changes. Healthcare changes, school literacy, schools change, education changes, literacy rates change. The industrial age is onset. The Black Plague goes away. Like, an entire era changes because the church leaned in and said, maybe we're going to be obedient to what God's putting on our hearts, and we're going to use this new technology, and we're going to put the Bible, we're going to do something gospel-centric with this new technology. What are we going to do today? We're going to use AI, gospel-centric, or are we going to shy away from it? You can guess what DK and I are doing.
We're trying to build a world where God and AI can coexist, and they can. And I've seen it. Like, you've been in technology for a number of years, and I've been able to show up as a Christian the whole time I'm in tech. There's not been a time where I didn't have to not show up as a believer. Now, there's been some spaces that I've been in as a believer that will be questionable in a lot of times. When you're in tech, you see a lot of spaces, a lot of parties, a lot of conversations that you're just like, I don't think God exists here. Okay. Most of us have, right? But we get a chance to make a decision that impacts the kingdom of God. And so democratization is the most important thing in terms of who and how we can access these things without barriers. And I always speak about ministry as making ministry this low barrier thing that people can always easily access the gospel and access the kingdom of God. That's through Christ Jesus. And if I do that as a technologist, then I've done my job well. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine today, and he's like, man, VR is doing this thing. I said, VR is a long way off. And I had to explain to him how VR is a long way off because, again, to your point, it's not easily accessible, right? The democratization for VR is not easily accessible. And it costs a whole lot of money to build VR as it stands today. So that's not going to be. So how are they going to integrate VR? Through glasses, through wearables, through earbuds is how they would integrate it to make it something user-friendly. So when they came out with the goggles for Apple and they came out with Meta's things I got sitting on my thing, those things were nice. I think we all got a pair of those. There you go. See,
I went even further back. I went even further back.
You got the Google Lens.
Yep. This was
Yeah, so-
trash, bro. This was trash. But the problem is in my little museum back there. The problem with it was exactly the same problem you just described.
Mhm.
Way too expensive. I
Too
think that was
expensive.
$2,000 in the year 2000. Like that was
It's crazy.
insane.
It's
So
crazy.
no one had access to it. It was difficult to build for it.
Mhm.
Anytime you see those types of things, it's
It's
problematic.
it's not going.
Why?
It's
Why is AI so popular?
yes.
$20 a month, bro. My daughter, 16, 17 years old, $20 a month is nothing. She does that out of her allowance, and now she on AI. That when it's to that level where anyone can do it without really needing even to think about it,
Mhm.
that's the onset of a paradigm shift.
Mhm. Which speaks of one of the paradigm shifts that we see now in AI. Now vibe coding is a thing where we're entering into this space where you can tell the GPT exactly what you want, how you want it, when you want it, and potentially it'll give you a framework to work with. So, brother, help the people as it relates to vibe coding and how they can probably get a better use of it as Christians, as believers, as those in nonprofit spaces.
It's good. It's really good. I'm a double down and quadruple down. Let me start by saying I don't have shares in any of these companies. Lovable, Replit, blah blah blah.
Zero.
Most of them are still private, so you can't own shares in them. But it is what it is. There's lots of products, companies that exist today that are exactly what you designed, what you just described. Speak to it in English, type to it in English, and it'll build something technological for you. Bolt.new, Vercel, Lovable, Replit, and we could keep going. So that space is a space and it exists. You seem to put a little curtail on, you seem to put a little hedge on it and said, it'll build a good framework. I disagree.
Okay.
Good AI can build, and I've seen this,
Okay.
not just a good framework, but actual working product today, right now, that you can launch and drive customers to today. AI today can build fully functional products that you can give to customers, and they work, and they're secure, and they're reliable, and they can scale. I'll give you a simple example. I wish I had my phone nearer. I would have shown you on the phone. A friend texted me, and I know the dates because I recently told this to someone else. Friend texted me on June the 24th. That's about a month ago, 30 days-ish ago. He said, Greg, I know you do this AI stuff. This is an HR person. Doesn't know anything about computers. Greg, I know you're an HR. I know you're an IT guy. You know about AI. I have an idea. Can you help me formulate this idea into something? Said, let's talk. We do a 15-minute Zoom call, me and him. In 15 minutes, I was able to tell him you need to do this, 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 this. And the idea he had is an app idea. I said, it's legit. I think you are onto something. I think you can build it. 30 days later, earlier this week, probably Monday or so, he texts me because we text. He's here in Texas. We text on and off, and he texts, oh, FYI, Greg, I just want. So I brought him in, started mentoring him, put him in a mentorship cohort with me and with some other business leaders. And now we're walking through this. 30 days, bro. He built the app, doesn't know anything about code, hasn't hired a web designer, hasn't hired a developer, hasn't hired a graphic artist. He built the app, he launched it, he got his LLC license with the Secretary of State in Texas, he got his website going, he got his bank account opened with no minimum deposit required, he got his Stripe set up, he's now charging customers, and he's already got his first 10 customers at about $100 a month for those customers. He built that and is live and has customers 30 days. 30 days. It's a full functioning product. I guarantee you, if he keeps pushing, he's going to get an investor. They're either going to want to buy the whole product from him and just take it and scale it, or they're going to want to push money into him and say, hey, you were really onto something. He ain't done no marketing yet. And he's already got 10, 15, 20 customers that are paying him. This is a different age, bro.
Very much so.
And it is real. It's not like I focus on this a lot. I try to get people to shift from, hey, you got an idea. You don't have limits. You want to launch? Go ahead and launch. God gave you a creative idea. you have no excuses nowadays. So I
Yeah.
try hard to help people get out of their own way and get these things built. And it's real. Like I can give you 10, 15, 20 stories of the last 6 months. People had an idea, built it, launched it, got feedback from customers. Some of the ideas turned out to be bad ideas. They were able to launch it in 30, 40 days and drop it and say, move on to the next. Or they were able to, like my other friend, launch it, get some customers and say, holy cow, I'm onto something. This is huge.
Yeah, man. And I hedged that on purpose because I knew where you was going to go with that. So I wanted to just kind of get the people thinking. Now, I've had customers come to me and want the same thing about using AI or using Replit. Again, this is not an ad. We are not sponsored by. We would like to be sponsored by, but we ain't sponsored by. God bless you. Lovable, Replit, Bolt, all of the likes. Now you have Opal with Google and, so forth and so on. Dia, you can go down the road of what you can find. And what I've seen, to your point, let me say this. I've seen in Lovable has the propensity of producing the same thing over and over again. I've already peeped them out. And I know why that is. Because in the building of the framework, we do not qualify what we want it to look like so that it can then change. So I got that. But there are others that eventually, it feels like, they want you to build to a certain degree and then include a developer. It feels like it. But then there are some that you don't have to do that. You can get up and running. So you choose your path, listener, on which one makes the most sense. And with Black and brown people specifically, what is more affordable? Because it's very easy to get into this AI space and you got $300-$400 in subscriptions trying to build this app. But figure out what's most affordable, what makes more sense for you as a creative. I'm a person that loves discipleship, loves community, and things like that. So I'm looking for things to build around that I can always take from me in terms of resources, etc. And even have some concepts that I've been throwing around, but nothing deployed. And Greg's going to get on to me because I should have deployed already. I already know that. So that being said, a person starting out today, ideation, dreaming, God woke them up to create something. Greg, what are 3 things that they need to do today to get started?
It's fantastic. I hope I can boil it down to 3.
Okay.
Again, not an ad. I wrote a book on this. Literally, December, I launched the book. It hit the #1 on Amazon's business and technology. Not Christian business and technology, regular business and technology. So, and it's very overtly Christian. If you read the back cover, I'm there and I'm saying, hey, I'm a Christian. I'm doing this for God, et cetera, but this is solid tech. Here we go. So in the book, I lay out a framework for what you should do if you have an idea. And when you don't follow a framework or have a strategy in advance, now you're just shooting from the hip. And that's kind of one of the reasons I don't like the term vibe coding. Yeah, it's now popularized and everyone says it, so I say it too. But you don't vibe it. You don't just sit down with no idea. I'm just going to see what the AI does. No. You need to know in advance, like any business. Like if you're going to go bake chocolate chip cookies, before you start, the end product needs to look like this. And then you build accordingly. Since you know chocolate chip cookies, you don't buy peanuts. Since you know chocolate chip cookies, you got to get chocolate chips. Since you know chocolate chip cookies, they're not vanilla. Like you know certain things, because it's going to end there. So you got to lay it out clearly. You got to have a plan. You got to have a strategy, and then you got to build. Next thing, I'm a purposefully divert from the direction you went. Unless you are technically skilled, I don't think there's a real use case for you to have to use one of those more complex tools like a Vercel V0 or like a Bolt Q, because they do build up to a point and then they absolutely require someone with technical expertise to close it down. Unless you are technical, that might not be the way for you. Today, unless you got $50,000, $100,000 put down that you're going to spend on this, and my assumption is that's not my audience right now,
Mhm.
You need to get one of those tools that will allow you to build soup to nuts from end to beginning. So a tool like Lovable, a tool like Replit, even though they had a security catastrophe this week, so it is what it is. So maybe we put them on the back burner for now, but tools like that, that'll build and launch and go public from the word jump, a tool that you build, those are the ones that
That's
you want to lean
community.
into. Those are the
Mhm.
ones that you want to really say, hey, how can I use this to take the idea in my head, apply a structure to it,
Mhm.
and finish it so that it can go live. The third thing, so we talk about you gotta have a strategy, you gotta pick the right tool. The third thing, you absolutely, and this is something the average entrepreneur struggles with, you absolutely have to be willing, and not just willing, you got to be the opposite of shy. So whatever that is, you got to be anxious to get real feedback from your customers.
Yes.
What too many entrepreneurs get stuck on is they got the idea, they built it, and now they spend cycle upon cycle upon cycle upon cycle tweaking it and perfecting it. And I don't want to put it public yet because I don't think it's perfect. Don't fall into that trap. Have an endpoint, even if it means you peel some features off and say, I got to get this in the hands of my customers. Why? Because your customers will immediately tell you this is a terrible idea
Mhm.
or this is a great idea. The example I gave with the HR guy, he got it in the hands of two, 3 customers. Those 2, 3 customers went and spoke to other customers and say, hey, remember that thing we were talking about? This tool does it. You need to sign up for this, bro. That's how he grew his customers without
Yeah.
any marketing. He doesn't have a
Yeah.
million customers. He's not, a billionaire. He's not Elon Musk yet. But how did he know that he's onto something? His customers told him.
Yes.
If you build the app, and you put it out there, you give it to a handful, not your mom and them. You give it to some legit customers that'll pay you for it. If no one wants to pay you for it, that's the answer to your question. It was a great idea, but it's not the idea for now. Maybe it's out of season. Maybe it's timing not right. Maybe your execution on it wasn't right. But you could cut your losses and go back to the drawing board, whether that's go back to the drawing board and rebuild or go back to the drawing board and execute on another idea. You got to be willing to get the feedback from a customer, not just my friend was looking at it and he gave me some feedback. That's not the same thing because your friend either, whatever, I'm not going to say anything about your friend, but you want legit feedback in the form of, is a customer willing to give you something for this, yes or no?
That feedback is so critical.
3 things that
Yeah.
I would put it up. Yeah, but yeah,
I
feedback
think
is
I think it's an opportunity. At least this is how I'm a serial beta tester. I love to come through and try to destroy your app and find everything wrong or right about it and then give you feedback. I think there's an opportunity there that hasn't been there in previous years for people to just beta test, beta test, beta test, beta test, because they can kind of get that feedback to you or to the group of people who are beta testers. And then you can have that feedback as well. To your point, your family members love you too much to tell you the truth. But I think that there's an opportunity for people to get into this coding piece and use it responsibly. And if you, ma'am, you, sir, are considering an app, Brother Greg, tell them where they can find you to continue this conversation further.
Yeah, so you can find everything about me on my website, www.myname.ai. So GregoryRichardson.ai. All of my socials are there. The YouTube channel is there. The business services I offer are there. Free AI assessment for your company is there. So it's all there. www.GregoryRichardson.ai. That's the easiest way to find me. I am still the person that answers all of my LinkedIn and DMs and Instagram, Facebook, X, so TikTok, whatever. If you message me anywhere there, you're getting me directly, not some extra person. So if you have questions or whatever, you can reach out there. A couple of things that I'll give you as a caveat. It seems easy to say, I'm going to quote vibe code and just, build this thing. I've noticed probably about 20% of people that go down that path end up getting stuck. They build it out and they can't get over the hump to get it launched. 1 or 2 things just ain't working. So one of the things I've started doing once a week, I have a vibe coding night. Again, I hate the term, but let's run with it for now. I have a vibe coding night at my office in Frisco. It's cheap, sub $100. I think it's $70, $80, something like that. You can come and we have instructors. I'm there myself personally, and I will spend, it's usually a room full of people, 10, 15, 20 people, and we'll sit there and we'll vibe code through whatever project you're working on. Because oftentimes the difference between how do I get this launched and why am I stuck on these one or two things is maybe you're not using the right English, the right technological words. So one of the things is customers trying to get a pop-up to say, you know, transaction received or whatever. In the tech world, that's called a toast pop-up. So if I don't tell the AI, maybe the AI didn't understand that's what you mean. The minute I said, oh, I'm trying to get a toast pop-up, or I'm trying to do something with another modal, it's a tech term, but now the AI understands what I'm asking it and it's able to function. So sometimes doing that or having a resource that can tell you, oh, what you're trying to ask for is this helps. Sometimes you might need a little bit of help with, okay, tools like Lovable, Replit, et cetera, they'll build a whole database and infrastructure for you and they'll secure it, but maybe you don't understand databases. I can help with that. I'll sit and, okay, the way you're actually asking for it to do this, you should ask it in this way. And then it proceeds. So a vibe coding class, if you find you're stuck, vibe coding classes help. Like I said, I do those once a week, a couple of hours. I also have webinars, I have trainings. And then there's some people that will say, you know what, Greg, I got my business, it's up and running. And I help real estate agents, bankers, people doing medical services, at home, you name it, whatever the business, I've probably helped them. All of those businesses nowadays, so the quote non-tech businesses, they are all benefiting from AI. And one of the things I warn business people, entrepreneurs, small business people, let's pick on real estate because there are lots of real estate people here in Texas. If you are not using AI in your real estate company, I don't care if you're a one-man real estate shop, I promise you, your competition using it right now already. And you're going to sit back and you're going to be the Netflix versus the Blockbuster.
Yes.
You know what the difference between Netflix and Blockbuster was? Blockbuster didn't see and understand the technological landscape. They didn't see the onset of, hey, internet is coming. People are going to be able to get videos from wherever they're living. They couldn't see that. Netflix saw it. And for those who don't know the history, Netflix went to Blockbuster. Netflix was losing money like crazy, but they had this idea where we could just send you a DVD, but really what we want to do is wait till the internet speed catches up and we're going to just let you watch the movie over the internet. Blockbuster laughed them out of the room, said, y'all crazy. Because they didn't see the shift in technological landscape. And they ended up being behind the dime. And now Blockbuster don't exist no more. And Netflix is all,
Netflix,
you know, is the hotness, the new hotness.
Yes.
Don't let that happen to you in your coffee shop, your flower shop, your architectural firm, your accounting firm, your whatever, your real estate company, your interior design company. If you are not using AI for certain key pillars in your company, lead gen, social media engagement, building your personal brand, document management, email responses, customer service, if you're not using it for those basic things, you're going to find yourself doing busy work while your competitors are growing. You got X amount of hours for the day. You're either going to spend it doing busy work or you're going to spend it doing strategic work.
That's right.
It's your choice.
That's right. So good. Listen, you guys make sure if you're in Texas, I'm in Dallas, I'm going to probably get over to one of those classes. Me and him already talked. He's already seen one of my projects that I have that I need to get back to when this busy season of my life is done. But for the most part, guys, you need a mentor in this space that has done it. You don't need people who have said that they can and they have no tangible evidence that they have. I'm already like 2 apps up. This is like my 3rd one that I'm building through AI. And usually there's always a developer somewhere standing by that I can reach out to, have a conversation with and all that. But that's me because I've been in technology for a long time, so I know that. The usual person would do that. So I need for you guys, if you can, make sure you connect with my brother Greg, reach out to him, pick up his book, pick up his information, do a consult with him so that you too can enter into the space of technology and go from zero to scale at a moment's notice. Guys, I thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
Before you wrap, let me say this, DK.
Yeah, brother.
Not everything needs to cost money. I'm a very big believer. There's different tiers of customers. Some customers don't have a lot of budget. They want to or need to do it themselves. I got stuff for you. I got 100% free AI assessment. Digital, it's fully online. You go, you do it, and it'll give you a full dashboard with graphs and charts. These are the 5 things you need to work on to make your business scale better. It's free, don't cost you nothing. Do it, and now you have a resource. I also have things on YouTube, 100% free.
He does.
I don't sell a school classroom, $80 a month. I don't have that. Nothing bad if people have that, but I don't. So any information I have that I think is useful, I might record a video and throw it up there. I have videos of me building apps online in 30 minutes and 40 minutes and putting them out there. And so that's free. Go get that on thing. The book is $20. All you got is go get the book. If you want now the full kit and caboodle, hey, Greg, I'll give you another one. I've built automations for companies, small companies that are starting out that want to do those, things that I just spoke about. I want to automate my customer response and my lead gen and my go out and find. I have those on a subscription basis. You don't need to set it up. I'll set it up for you. About $100, $200 a month. Boom, you're in. No $10,000, $5,000. Not everyone has that budget. But right. I also got hey, you want to just me custom build the whole thing for you, me and my team? We got $10,000 options as well. But there's tiers. So don't be intimidated because, this is AI. This is going to be a whole bag. Sometimes it is a bag. Sometimes it isn't. You come in where you want to come in. And my strongest advice is regardless to wherever you come in, you want to hit the ground running.
That's right.
You do not want to postpone this. If you chill out and say, you know what, I'm going to work on this in 6 months, your competitors and everyone else in your space are going to be 12 months ahead of you by the time you start 6 months from now.
That's right.
Because they've started already. Go on Google Trends and look at what are people searching for. Everyone's searching for AI. How do I AI this? How do I AI this? How do I get more customers? So if you ain't doing it, I can guarantee you who is. So I want to encourage you, whatever tier you're at, you want to spend a lot of money or you're a smaller business, you don't want to spend any money, there's options across the board. And it's not just me. There's plenty of companies out here that can help you, but take the help.
Please.
Especially if you're a church, small church, and you want to be more effective in your ministry, take the help. You can use it, and it might be the difference between that one soul out there that wasn't coming to church and they just needed to hear something that's just the thing that drew them closer to let the Holy Spirit draw them closer. You don't want to be the one that, I'm still messing around and blah. So now this is about souls. This is about life and death. So that's how seriously I take it when it comes to the gospel side of it. So I'll shut up now, BK.
No, you're in good shape. That's a good way to end. So get your behind in high gear and get involved with AI. If you are a church, a leader, a pastor, an administrator, there's few of us in this space that understands how you think. And we would love to work with you and collaborate to make sure that we put you ahead of the game in your respective space. I'm DK Hammonds, Brother Greg. We out. We appreciate y'all. Peace.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. My hope is that the podcast added value to your life. Please, please, please subscribe from your favorite application, leave us a review, and even follow us on YouTube for your up-to-date information. Thank you. Peace.